Quaid Azam Part 370. His pre 1947 statements and the often quoted 11 August 1947 speech are in reality but indicators of his thoughts, not any definitions. This repeated partitioning of the land inflicted deep wounds on India's psyche. In a seminar titled Our Republic post 6 December 1992, held on 6 March in 1993, late Bashiruddin Ahmed and the Vice Chancellor of Jamia Millia Islamia had shared with other participants his views. I'm once again sort of going back to what I call the first principles of emphasizing these first principles. Does not help always, but nevertheless it, I suppose, make the clear what is direction in which we want to move. Notwithstanding all that, why is it that we had December 6th? I think one of the reasons why we had December 6th was primarily because there was an unfinished agenda of the national movement. Basically, the way I look at what it is that the direction in which Indian nationalism has was evolving was a direction that was culturally very Hindu. And I think for a variety of reasons that evolution of nationalism in that direction got interrupted. There was necessarily a kind of an ad hocism that crept in, and that ad hocism is our handling of the situation of what is Indian nationalism. It crept in essentially because of partition. That was the time to dampen the fires, and we had the helm of the affairs, Jawaharlal Nehru, and he was ideologically committed to the notion of a modern secular state. Panditji's presence, his enormous influence, did not resolve the issue. It kept in abeyance. Once his remarkable social transformation took place, once the enormous middle class emerged and villages became accessible, then it was possible to raise this question of what is Indian nationalism. Partition was after all a direct consequence of the separate electorates and took in its train various charters of demands like Jinnah's famous 14 points, which is why any expression of the Muslim grievances of the Muslim identity now reminds India of that causes discomfort. Muslims' positive contribution to a secular ideal as a distinct from the protest against injustices remain unconvincing, and yet all are ready to exaggerate the dangers, raise apprehensions, and garner the vote, not one to the council sagely. It is obvious that whatever may be the future of India, and even if there is a regular partition, the different parts of India will have to cooperate with each other in 100 different ways. It is a sad afterthought that despite all these reflections about union plus independence or disunion, etc., it is a sad afterthought that despite all these reflections about union plus independence or disunion, etc., Nehru finally became a proponent of partition. And it is not as if independence of the country on 15 August 1947 eliminated all such afterthoughts from his mind. After all, shortly after independence, Gandhi was assassinated. Besides, as a byproduct of the partition, the human suffering, loss of lives, uprooting was truly unprecedented. An empty recital of figures of the dead or the uprooted does not, indeed cannot adequately convey the dimensions of human suffering. Stanley Walpole, in Shameful Flight, reports that Nehru, too, after the catastrophic killings and uprootings that the land went through during those terrible days of freedom, told Mountbatten on the eve of the latter's departure, "It is difficult for me or anyone to judge of what we have done during the last year or so. We are too near or We are too near to it and too untimely connected with the events. Maybe we have made many mistakes, you and we. Historians, a generation or two hence, will perhaps be able to judge what we have done right, what we have done wrong. I believe that we did try to do right, therefore many of our sins will be forgiven us and many of our errors also.